Thank you. So we thought we will, the final session of today, before we go for dinner, we'll make it a little bit interesting where we will look at both AI and ESG and how, whether there is actually a place where AI and ESG converge or diverge. Okay. So as we see, today we are living at a very interesting time. We are sitting at a time at the intersection of what I call possibility and responsibility. And around the world, AI is scaling faster than most any technology that we have seen before. Okay? And we are as a company who is leading this particular change with our customers, we see it every day, right from experimental to foundational, reimagining everything, right from how we reimagine our own cities, deliver healthcare, and which is around energy consumption, bias, accountability, all of that. Okay? That's why we cannot have ESG and AI we cannot treat it only as a conversational topic. It is also a leadership conversation. And that's why we want to bring this topic up front. And it's about intent, design, as well as consequences. And it is in this context that we are guided by innovation. And as you see, Asia has a very, very unique role to play. Because across this region, we have scale, we have diversity, we have real world complexity. And then we have two big countries, China and India, adopting AI very, very significantly. Okay? And solutions tested here can tend to become more practical, resilient, as well as inclusive by design. So I always feel that if we can get ESG right in Asia, we can actually take it to the rest of the world. Okay? So that is what our panel brings together. Our panel brings together perspectives from governance, infrastructure, policy, as well as food systems. Okay? Sectors where impact of AI is going to be the very, very tangible. Okay? So that is what we will explore, how Asia will lead this particular transition. And we have 4 people who are in the cusp of doing all of this. So we have Mike. Mike is the Vice President and Senior Fellow for Center for China and Globalization. So he will focus a lot on governance. We have Mr. Huan, Chairman of Halcom. Mr. Huan is actually leading the whole thing about energy infrastructure, actually says ESG in all of that. He's also the member of the National Committee on Science and Technology at Vietnam. Okay. Then we have Diana. She is the co-founder of OneAgrix, which is essentially she's trying to create a complete new platform on food. She is currently living in Singapore, living in Switzerland, and trying to do this. And then, of course, we have Mr. Kheng, Chairman of Univers, which is essentially he's focusing a lot on AI and energy and how both of these things come together. So let me start with a question to the entire panel. And as all of us know, we see this every day. I always feel that in the last 2 years, especially after Trump has come in, ESG is dead. Okay, people don't talk about ESG that much as what people used to speak about. But we have also seen a lot of AI coming in. Okay, so what does one positive impact that AI usage has been widely recognized for? Okay, and what ESG problem do you think AI is best suited to solve? I want to ask all of them. So maybe I'll start off with Mike first. Mike, if you can give your thoughts and also explain a little bit about what you're doing in this company as well. Okay.
Thank you very much, Girish, for putting the first question to me. Also has been a great honor to be able to join Horasis India Summit in Singapore. For a very authentic Chinese, I was born in China. And why I come to Singapore and India this forum, because these both two countries are very deep inside of my heart. I was in Singapore here 1996 to 2000. And one time also I was privileged to work for a very also iconic Indian company. Girish knows it. And that's how I really, get inspired by the huge similarity as well as diverse cultural things with the Indian communities. Sometimes one of the things when we talk to Americans, we lock hands like this. When we talk with the Indians, we lock hands like this, right? So I look at back to this Ganesh question. I look at the artificial intelligence make a huge impact on the ESG implementation. If you look at in the corporate world, my entire career, 35 years, always in corporate world, we have pieces here or there on the so-called corporate governance, as well as social responsibility. But what makes this time different is AI fundamentally transformed the industry in many ways. Many industries, if you give an example, like I always go to Xiamen in the coastline city. I look at the Xiamen University and I have teamed up with some expert to have this real-time marine monitoring system. What happens before, they probably will take maybe 5 hours footage, take maybe 5 days to process the footage. But right now it's only 4 hours, right? The other thing is like today, for many investment going to China, first question they probably will ask, what's a compliance requirement for you to put your money in China? Like right now we see a huge infrastructure booming for the data center, so on and so forth. From day one, they have to plug the idea. This is not, what we used to see.
Thank you. Chairman, please, if you can just please, if you can just give a little bit of view about where you think AI is actually helping Vietnam.
Thank you, Girish. So, as you know that I am founder and also the chairman of the company private sector from Vietnam. Then we work for project like renewable energy and water supply and so on. More or less, we involved in the green development, and ESG is naturally becomes very important and the key active of the company. But I see that in the AI stage, so how to link the ESG. I think that the very complex and comprehensive terms to AI, because in the AI state, the development is not like a step by step. It's blooming, and maybe it could be changed just after one day. And we also see that the positive way that for AI to link to ESG, that the term of ESG is not easy to understand for all SME, especially in Vietnam. Many people, they don't like to do ESG, but they really don't understand fully what ESG is. It doesn't mean that that's three legs, but we separate each leg like environment or social or governance. It doesn't have much for ESG. But if now with the help of the AI, you can come and to see the definition very clearly that AI can help. And another sense that for environmental impact, if we need monitoring, we need database, and AI could help to use or to store or to keep the database in the big data, and they can also have to like a forecast, monitoring, or modeling, whatever in like air pollution, like a traffic, like agriculture, or even whatever development that AI could help, and that also social and also the economic. So I think that AI could link quite well with ESG, and that could impact and support to ESG to develop in right ways and faster.
Thank you. I want to ask Diana. Diana is an expert in food and in the food industry. So, and if you can just throw some light on that.
Okay, so when we look at the food industry, first we have to ask ourselves now, when we look at AI, AI sits at the intersection of responsibility and possibility. So if you look at the food sector with India and ASEAN, we look at the trade corridor, what you see is that there is no data harmonization or standards harmonization between ASEAN. And this is what India ASEAN desires. Now, the thing is, the real question for us today is to ask ourselves, not whether we can use AI, is what kind of intelligence that we are choosing to scale. And if we look at thinkers and like Terence Maury, he spoke about this term very distinctly about cold AI and warm AI. Now, cold AI is what we have right now, where we look at processes, we optimize efficiency, even if there is integrity compromise. So that's cold AI. And this is precisely why, with cold AI, ESG fails. What is needed is actually warm AI, where we embed the human intent and element into AI. So that's one of those things in the food system that's lacking, where in the first place we should be questioning the infrastructure. Are we building with trust? Are we building with rather than building with processes? The future is not in automation. It is in actually sovereign intelligence, where we focus on digital identity, getting farmers, getting food companies, even big food, because we work with companies like Nestle as well. So what we see here is data is not harmonized. So AI, I know you say to talk the positive things about AI, but I think the speakers here have already mentioned the positive things of AI, but at the same time, there's this other aspect of AI that we need to zero in.
Thank you. Thanks. Let me now go to Kheng. Kheng also currently is actually the chair of a company called Univers, which does sit in the intersection of energy and AI. That's where I think we will see a whole significant number of work in this particular area. But he was also the previous CEO for EDB when Singapore was born. So Kheng, for some thoughts from you. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and thanks very much, Girish and my fellow panelists for this opportunity. Well, first of all, what is Univers? By the way, it's spelled without the E. Especially now with all this auto spell check, always the spell check make it wrong. Okay, Univers, we're in the business of AI for energy. Precisely, we aim to help enterprises, governments, and cities accelerate the energy transition. Okay, unpack that into simple description of what we are doing. We provide AI software to help organizations face the challenge of energy in a very data-driven way, new insights, and also action to be taken in every part of their journey towards the energy transition. So we provide AI software end-to-end for the whole energy value chain. So personally, I started my career in IT, and along the way at the EDB, EDB always look at what future areas we should go into to keep our economic momentum continuing to grow. So at that time was clean technology. We started a lot of work in that area and took quite a few years to come to fruition. So I'm very excited that now I'm working in a very hot area called AI, another very hot area called sustainability or ESG, and I'm actually working at the intersection of these two. So it is really very interesting. Okay, so back to the question on an example of what AI in ESG is, I would say that today, most of the time when I talk to potential customers and policymakers, I don't go into the mechanics of AI. You know, we got agentics, machine learning, and so on and so forth. We say that here's a way in which you can save cost and at the same time help you to comply with the regulators to improve your ESG. So take, for example, a building. If you put an AI-driven software into this building, you can potentially save between 10 to 20% of the energy bill. Oh, so that looks interesting. Oh, by the way, the ROI is good, the payback period is good, and it helps you to actually comply with the regulators. So this is one very good example. You may be thinking, okay, so one building, you know, would it move the needle? The answer is yes, and a big yes. Why? Because today, for many buildings, especially those in the tropics, air conditioning and ventilation costs about 50 to 60% of the energy bill. So it is important. And worldwide, buildings, the operation of buildings, not the building of buildings, the operation of building is responsible for 30% of the worldwide greenhouse gas emission. So it's a massive, massive opportunity whereby a little needle actually can move this whole climate change fairly significantly. Thanks.
Kengwa, I want to stay with this. So you were speaking about when we were having a chat before. I think it's good for people to know what is happening in the production and consumption of energy. We spoke about prosumers and the future of what energy systems will look like. And in that context, I want to ask you, where do you think AI will make the most practical difference in reducing emissions? And how will AI help you to reduce emissions for people? So if you can just throw some light and give people a context on that.
Okay. Actually, AI is able to work in the whole spectrum of the energy business to reduce the carbon emission. But let me just summarize by giving 3 areas. One is the demand side, the demand for energy. 2 is the supply side, the supply of energy. 3 is what we call the intelligence layer, pulling together the supply and demand. I will elaborate on each of these. On the demand side, I give the example of building, right? How AI can reduce energy consumption, okay? And that means reduce carbon emission. So it's clear-cut, bring about energy efficiency. Then on the supply side, the world, despite whatever COP language they use, would have to de-emphasize on fossil fuel and have more renewables, more low carbon or zero carbon energy. So on the supply side, today the dominant renewable energy is solar, is wind. So AI can help to bring about more renewable energy output with the existing infrastructure. So in other words, it could improve 5, 10, 15% of wind or renewable energy output by optimization, by predictive maintenance, and so on. So there's a supply side. The world has to rely more on low carbon energy and AI is enabling the producers to produce more with what they have. Okay, so we have the supply and the demand, and this is where, when we talk about energy transition, one of the key transition is that the whole energy landscape is changing. Not a very good comparison, but when I started my computer career, wow, IBM mainframe, big computer, you know. And today, this is more powerful than a mainframe at that time. So just like the computer industry, we are seeing the energy landscape moving from mainframe, big 1 gigawatt, 2 gigawatt, Genco, generation company, tall chimney, you can't run away from that. Okay, to distributed energy resources, to a new definition of what is the role between a consumer and a producer, and highly distributed. So in this brave new world, the current architecture of the grid that is largely mainframe or big Genco base would have to adapt to this new transition that is happening. So what is this new transition? One is producer and consumer get mixed up. And in fact, the word we use is prosumer. Say your house, you are a producer of energy because of your solar panel on the rooftop. You are a consumer of energy because you also have the rooftop, but you got to supplement it with the grid when it's not producing enough. And then we look at this electric vehicle. Very interesting. It is a battery storage of motion. Battery storage is very important in this new world of energy transition because wind, solar, intermittent, you need storage to help to solve this problem. So so storage is a key part of this new energy architecture. So if you have an EV, it is a mobile consumer of energy. It is a mobile battery storage. And it is also a mobile energy trader. What do I mean? Traditionally, we have a vehicle. We have what we call grid-to-vehicle charging. You charge your vehicle, take energy for the grid. Now, it is possible in some jurisdictions, they are already having that vehicle to grid. You charge the grid with your battery. So when energy price is low, okay, because it happened to be windy and very sunny, a lot of production, energy is low, I charge my car to the full. When energy price is high, because no wind, no sun, hey, I sell to the grid, I charge back. So I become a mobile energy trader. And there are zillions of this with each car it is this. So we have so many producers, so many consumers, so many storage, and so many of them are mobile, it's not a fixed address. So in this new world, it is very, very important to be able to orchestrate the supply and the demand. How to bring supply to demand, real time at that point in time. And the supply is by so many different modalities. The consumer and the storage, also so many. How do you do this? How do you encourage some of the demand at peak to say you try to hold on and I give you financial incentive? Or on the supply side, how do we give good forecast of the weather and for them to give good forecast of their energy to be able for the whole community to optimize? So the key is how to shave the peak the peak is at 12 noon, for example. How can I move it to 3, 4 o'clock? And that is good for the whole grid. So this is the layer we call the intelligence overlay to be able to operate and optimize and create resiliencies so that nobody will run out of energy. In this world, that is also a big, big part. We're talking about virtual power plant just now. So no longer power plant is one big Sunoco power station, whatever. It can be a virtual power plant. Aggregate all this for those who got energy to spare, and then become a virtual GenCo and supply to the grid to help in this orchestration of the new energy landscape. Sorry, I took a bit long.
No, thank you, Kheng. Just to give you a context, for example, in Australia, we work with a lot of customers where you are a producer of electricity in the morning, and then you put and store it in just like a cloud kitchen. You take your energy and store it in the cloud, or you have a community storage where you store it in a village community center, and then in the evening when your power demand is most for example, your heater or for your you want it for your washing machine or dryer, use it at 10 o'clock in the night when the energy cost is the lowest. I think that's what Kheng was explaining, and that is all these things can be nicely orchestrated today using AI. So I think that is probably the single most thing which we should know, where the intersection between AI and energy happens. Okay. I want to now come to Diana. Diana does a very interesting work on food, and food is very human, Diana. It's not something which is very AI driven. Okay. So how can AI really improve food without losing anything on the AI element? So how can AI improve this whole thing in food?
Okay, so when you look at AI, and for example, I'll give you from the example of the work we do at OneAgrix. So at OneAgrix, we work with companies of all sizes, from FMCG companies to farmers to SMEs. And when we, in 2019, when I was invited to meet Farmers Association at AU, African Union Commission, the conversation of technology has already been there. But back then it was blockchain, and blockchain this, blockchain that. Now, every time when there's a conference like this, there's always a focus on, let's say today is AI. And it's not that I'm here to challenge AI, but back then we see with, with food trusts, with many blockchain, use cases, and today they are gone. So the same for AI with the farmers, for example. What it solves is actually the data collation part of things. It makes a lot of menial tasks shorter, for example, documentations. Now, when we look at the ecosystem and how AI can be leveraged with the SMEs, we see that it's not that they do not have good quality goods. Oftentimes, it's because they do not get to market fast enough, because they collate information so slowly, and this is with experience working with different types. Even big food is guilty of this. They don't keep good records. And AI has that chance to actually do this much quicker. So that's one example that we can do. The second example is, so for OneAgrix, what we pioneered was having advanced technologies, traceable and protecting immutable assets from the UK to the UAE. So what we did, we were the first in the world to do this. We actually did a viable use case, and it was successful, where people can look at the origin of where the food comes from. And just to clarify, and this works in faith-based, in halal, in kosher, in Jain, in vegan. I'm not talking about the mass food market. I mean, as it is, faith-based is alone a $7 trillion industry. So we have, a lot of work to do there to go mass. So that's the second thing. In that pilot, what we noticed is, even though we were using blockchain, there was still a slow digitization. So before we leap to digitalization, and now we have AI, and next, what else? We will move towards AGI.
Quantum.
Exactly, quantum. We look at first, in the food sector, at adoption.
Yeah.
Whether adoption is there for the farmers. in the first place.
Thank you. There is an interesting trivia on this. You know, when Indian monsoon, all of us come from India, know about monsoon. Monsoon hits Kerala probably on the 10th of June, and then it advances all the way up to the north. Okay, and Indian government has been trying to model monsoon for a long time to see when will monsoon come at the right time, so the farmer can sow his seeds. Okay, and it's a science which nobody has perfected. Okay, this time for the first time, all the data was passed on to an AI engine, and for prediction of Indian monsoon. Okay, and very interesting because everybody predicted that June 10th it will hit Kerala and then it will grow gradually, whereas AI predicted something which is very interesting. It said that it will come for 2 weeks, then there will be a pause of 3 weeks, and there will not be anything at all for 3 weeks, and then it will come again. Okay, so the first time AI engine predicted, and it turned out to be true. Okay, the first time that we are using the real life example of how it has helped farmers in India, and India is predominantly a farmers country. Okay, I want to come to you, Chairman Huan. In infrastructure and cities where you see this happening, where is AI really delivering sustainability gains?
So, before come to the question, I just have a comment that Mr. Halcom.
Sure.
And somebody say that quite a lot of positive manner from AI.
Yeah.
But I see that, like you said, that AI will help to save some electricity to consumer, but actually the AI also consume itself quite a lot of electric and powers. And I think that if we see the negative point of views, I think there are also some quite many. Then if we just think about the one side of the AI, we think that maybe we try to develop it, but in a sustainable way, we have to think, consider about negative point of views, because if we don't care about that, maybe one day that will make damage to the community, or maybe they can cause harmful to the people, like especially like nowadays the people use quite a lot for telemedicine, right? And instead of they come to doctor of medicine, they can ask the AI something, ChatGPT or whatever, but be careful. If we will immediately believe on that AI suggestion, then maybe we'll get problems. So that's quite common on that. But anyway, for AI, in another sense, that like as you said, in India they could help the farmer, but in Vietnam also too, there are many farmers, they use the drone to take care of their farms, and then the AI also helps to government authority to make a forecast for environmental protection, climate change, or they also link to the some like not only environmental protection, but that also that forecast that what the people or the company could help for the environmental impact. So they try to avoid, like if you have some business plan, then you can, the AI could help you also link to make some modeling that the plan could help the people or make the client or the community satisfied or not. So many, I think that nowadays, I think in Vietnam, we apply AI in many sectors, many economic industry. Also, the government, but like I said, that our government also, to be careful with the negative point of view. Then we also make a law. Just the assembly just approved the law of AI. I don't know for another country if you think about the law. Maybe somebody argued that if we make the law very earlier, so that could be prevent the develop naturally of AI, and that could kill that industry. But many people support that idea that we should have a law or another kind of regulation to keep the AI in the sensor that to serve the people, not make it harmful to the people and to the community. That's great.
Thank you. Mike, I want to come to you. because I have visited China many times and I can see the whole, China is leading AI in quite a lot of instances. For example, you should explain what a dark factory means. I've been to few dark factories, but you should explain to the audience what a dark factory means. Okay? And I want to see what is one lesson that from Asia, as Asia is growing so rapidly, that how we could guide the world on AI, okay? On responsible AI, especially ethical as well as sustainable AI. What is one lesson that you think we can learn from Asia, and where can we take Asia to?
I look at this is a great question. I look at one of things as China really is becoming very bullish on this AI. We have national strategy, AI plus strategy. So one of things you keep pushing this converted the industry, legacy industry, as well as the very early adopter applications. But one of the things I also want to be very cautious about some potential effect. I look at the digital divide. If you look at, I'm from Beijing, Shanghai, or Tier 1 city, it seems like these three you can reach whatever resources at the fingertips. But what about in the West? What about in those underdeveloped areas? I look at number one is government also taking a considerable amount of steps to minimize the digital gaps. And one of the things I really look at also can be a good lesson in the Asia is how you leverage abundance of resources in Tier 1 city, help those underdeveloped area and cross the digital divide. I look at it. Number two is I look at what the lesson we can learn or also can represent collectively Asia in the global community is I look at we constantly witness a huge debate going on in Europe, in the US, talk about regulations. If you look at China, sometimes I might become more scared as a government. They were pushing things, either you do AI or you will be out of picture, right? I look at how to make a balance call. On the one hand, if you can get the push AI, drive the industry, transform industry, especially in the this ESG, environment friendly, all this area, try to zoom into area, you can minimize those carbon emissions, so on and so forth, make a positive contribution towards to our government commitment to reach carbon peak by 2030. On the other hand, to take a conscious effort, leveraging the resources to help those underdeveloped. And look at government regulation, it is a double-edged sword, right? In the region like Asia, you have a huge diversity, huge legacy, going on in various countries. How you have an inclusive strategy to drive your technology innovation. On the other hand, also how to incubate certain things, like what are things I really feel I can learn from this forum, from quite a number of conversations, is how we can learn the steps taken on data privacy, data security, the information sharing across the border, what the practice we can learn. So collective, once we consolidate all these learnings and the practices, we can share with the folks in North America, Europe, or even Africa. I just came back from Middle East in the Doha Forum. We advocate similar ideas. It's how we, as a human being, we chip in our learning, either good or bad, into one place, and for other countries to really take learning from there.
It's if you look at AI, I just want to put things clear. We all use ChatGPT or others every day. There are three layers of AI. Okay, first is what we call assist, and ChatGPT essentially does is it's assisting us to make a decision. Okay. The second part, which we call is augmented AI. So essentially, if you are today, a lot of doctors use AI, and there are instances where when you are talking to a patient with the patient's consent, you are actually recording information from the patient, and it is fed to an AI, and then AI can actually come and tell the doctor, maybe this is the right diagnosis for this particular patient. That is what we call augmented AI. Okay? And it has happened in many places today that augmented AI is actually helping doctors to pinpoint what is the actual problem. Okay? The third one, that is what I wanted to talk about with Mike, is this whole thing about transformational AI. And you can see that in action today in some of the Chinese factories, and we call it dark factories. Dark factories because first, there won't be any light. There is zero light. Two, there is no people. You just give instructions through AI to build a car. And automatically everything, the assembly line functions without anybody in the factory. So that is what is called transformational AI. And today we see that today a lot happening in China, in Vietnam, in India, a few places are happening. Even in retail outlets, you can see that. So if you look at AI, look at it in three levels. What we are doing is only, probably a lot of us are using today is only assisted AI. But we need to go to augmented and finally reach the level of what we call transformative AI. Chairman Huan, I want to come to you. In Vietnam, what is an example of AI helping communities?
That like I mentioned earlier, that telemedicine, that's one kind of thing that the people now using quite a lot. And then like advisors, when you have any kind of the different thing or maybe new concepts, you can come to AI, ChatGPT, and the people can get the answer from AI, especially for the rural area or remote area, they can learn English through the AI. So that's quite common nowadays. And the farmers also use AI quite a lot. And in Hanoi, actually, they just complete install lesson of the AI, camera AI that who can help put traffic. So many people, before that, when the people involved in the traffic, they don't see the police, they can go cross red line and so on. But now with AI, maybe they scare and they think that maybe the camera happens somewhere and they have to follow the rules strictly. So I think that too many either in the urban area or in the rural. I think that more or less the AI interfere to their life quite a lot, and most of the people, they are quite happy and they receive that like the most intelligence use for them. But and as I said, that the government also have to scare. They want to protect the harmful for the people. That in a sense that even if you think about the moral, about ethic of the AI creative, they when they produce AI in a good way, but when the people use AI in a different way, maybe some of the hacker or criminal, they can use AI to do some special thing like to cheat people, or maybe especially in the banking or financial, they can use just some deepfake to cheat the people. That could be dangerous for the people. They don't understand very much about AI. They just see the good thing of AI and they use immediately. Then that's quite a thing that we should care. Then protect the people, especially in the rural on remote areas.
Yeah, thank you. We have only another 10-15 minutes, so I'll probably ask one round of question, and then please be ready with some questions for the panelists. I'll come to you, Diana. What is one example that you think where AI is beneficial for small farmers as well as SMEs? Because that is very important for the Asian context. Where is one example where you see this?
I think one example I see is in the democratization of verifiable assets.
Okay.
I think, as I mentioned earlier, just now, there's one which you talk about the juggles of AI, but at the same time, like Kheng was saying, when you meet customers, you do not tell them, oh, AI this and AI that. Instead, you explain what's the outcome, what's the benefits of AI. So in our work, where we see it is with farmers, with SMEs, and with big food, we see that data is not harmonized. And I think it's very important for global trade in the India-ASEAN trade corridor, and this would be beneficial for the ITIGA. It's very beneficial to see that the data is not only collated but verified. And this is why I was explaining, the question should be, can we use AI? Definitely we will use AI in many, spectrums of society. But what we are looking is what type of AI, what type of intelligence, is it verified? Are the data real to prevent misinformation, to prevent deepfakes, as what Chairman Kheng was saying earlier. So to reiterate again, it's democratization of verified assets. I think that's very important, and that's where SMEs and also farmers would be pulled into the global markets.
Kheng, I'll come to you. I want to quickly understand, because today if you look at the press every day you hear Googles and Microsofts and everybody else putting in large data centers. And we ourselves decided we'll put a 1 gigawatt data center in India right now. Okay, so it comes with, as AI demand goes up, energy consumption demand also goes up. Okay? So how do we ensure digital intelligence actually doesn't come at the cost of environmental sustainability?
Very difficult.
Okay.
Every day, announcements of new data centers
Correct.
are in billions and trillions of dollars.
Correct.
So, I think at this stage of development, it's not easy to really grapple with, the cost and benefit with regards to the emission and so on. Then what we can do for the time being is very much along the lines I have outlined. One is demand efficiency. How to design data centers that are very, very energy efficient.
Okay.
So today, well, I'm involved in a data center, AI data center company as well. The people measure the efficiency by PUE, power utilization efficiency. So the state of the art is about 1.1, 1.1 plus, 1.2. But today, even in my country, there are some AIs that are operating at 2. So how to design it efficiently and then use AI to operate even more efficiently. Just like I mentioned just now, using AI to bring about lower air conditioning costs. There's another big area which I didn't have time to talk about, is that AI enable what we call predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance. In other words, using AI to tell us, oh, this particular pump is going to fail in 7 days' time. Okay. How do they do it? The AI collect data on vibration, on consumption, and many things. Okay, so it may seem simple, but the point is that with this, we will do maintenance not by calendar. Oh, BCA say every quarter must check lifts. Okay, by the quarter. But we know that failure doesn't obey the calendar. You can shift towards maintaining it when it is about to fail. So same thing in the data center. Huge equipment, not just from the efficiency of running, but from predictive maintenance and so on. And then on the supply side, I think there's still a lot of potential to go into renewable energy. Our software, by the way, is market leader in the world with 25% market share. Software to make wind, to make solar more efficient. And then thirdly, this notion of what I call the intelligence layer, which we can call it a smart grid. Let me touch on 2 examples, which may give us some idea of how, in the case of data center, it may apply. One is right here where you are sitting. This place for the foreigners who are visiting is called Pongo. Okay, and the government has created a Pongo digital district around here. And this school is inside the Punggol Digital District. The government, through JTC, called a tender, and my company is providing the software with a Genco to build a smart grid for Punggol Digital District, connecting the solar with the storage, with the various energy users here, and so on and so forth, to make it more efficient. Okay, then I switch to another example. China is very big. Punggol, 50 hectare, tiny, you know. So our company, we have, together with our associated company, we have built the world's first net zero industrial park in Inner Mongolia. Why do investors want to go Inner Mongolia? Plenty of sunshine, plenty of wind. So very good for solar and for wind. So we have built this industrial park that produces EV batteries and the whole ecosystem. The people who produce the catalyst, the anode, the cathode material, the people who produce the car panel, carbon fiber, the people who actually do many other things, including an OEM for making trucks, in this whole net zero industrial park. First thing is that the energy can be 100% green. But that's not a big deal, no big deal, you know. Today we always hear that green means more expensive. No, the energy there costs cheaper than industrial energy tariff in China. So it's cheaper and green. How is that possible? Okay, same thing. The smart grid managed the orchestration. We have the demand efficiency, the supply efficiency. Now, superimpose that in the data center. Instead of industrial park,
Right.
can it be a net zero data center park? Yes, it is possible. So that could be something, and that potentially could mitigate. And finally, I think, meanwhile, R&D got to go on, maybe new sources of powering AI data center, whether it's nuclear through the small modular reactors, or solar. Despite all this, the cost of solar actually dropped. Is 10% of the cost of solar 10, 15 years ago, the panel. Despite this, the efficiency is still quite low, 20 over 30%. Maybe some breakthrough whereby I can get better efficiency from a solar panel, then we get better, cheaper energy.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike, I want to ask the last question before I go to any audience questions. What is one lesson we can learn from China on AI?
I look at recently, I just visit the Xinjiang province, and everybody knows in China, solar power, just like Qinghua was also talked about. We talk about solar farms, so on and so forth, but what I see is solar city. Okay. Yeah. What after a few years, when they install very large number of solar panel there, because also they need to water, clean up the surface of a solar panel. What they found out is in the right middle of desert, the grass start growing, and then literally come to the area, and people realize, and the desert become a huge issue. They have seen very organic approach to compare this expansion of desert, number one. Number two, for the people live in those places, they can raise the ships there, or because the ships also under the protection of solar power, and keep running around, very organic. I would say that's a huge the social benefit. All this does not come from the so-called central planning. Just, given the size, given the practice in place, has created a huge, I would say, social benefit.
Thank you. Is there any audience questions? Is it too much of AI in the last 1 hour or so? Yeah.
Hi, very interesting panel. I'm Raghav, I'm from India. And wanted to ask Mr. Hua, you spoke about the industrial parks. So this is connected to the central grid or is it working independently? For example, in remote areas in India, it's a massive requirement because a lot of places are, not there with electricity. So how do you apply this in these areas in India? Do you create that isolated hub? And how does it really get connected to the grid?
A very, very good question. If you break down the cost of electricity bill to look at how much the Genco charge and how much the, the grid charge, you will know that it is a significant amount. Okay, we have gone into 3 industrial parks, starting from the one I mentioned, then we have 2 others. Now, the one that I mentioned today, we take about 20% from the grid. For the other 2, one making green hydrogen, the other one making ferroalloy metals and so on. That one is 100% off grid, 100% directly supplied from the wind farm, from the solar farm. That is very, very challenging, because investors cannot allow outage. So we have to actually put in quite a lot of storage. At the same time, our software is orchestrating all this to ensure that the good quality, resilient power supply continues to flow. So far, so good.
Thank you. Any other questions? If there is no other question, I want to thank all the panelists. There is one important thing which I learned. I don't want to end this with an equation which I coined a few months back when I was in Davos. I do think sustainability is all about beneficial intelligence, which is it needs to benefit the society at large. Okay? So if beneficial intelligence is what we need at the end, we need AI. But AI cannot work alone. AI has to work along with what I call human intelligence. So that is what you were talking about, Dana. So AI plus HI. And in the end, AI plus HI has to work along with emotional intelligence, which is EI. Okay. So AI plus HI plus EI should finally lead to what we call beneficial intelligence. Okay. And I do think we have a real opportunity to get this right if we do it right now. And if we align innovation with purpose, AI can actually help us become a much, much more sustainable world. With those thoughts, I want to thank everybody. Thank everybody for being here. Thank you very much.